As well. Dennis, when it is our live, so Dennis has to count us in. We're okay. Okay. All right. Great. Well, welcome to our third Saturday BAPAC Black American Political Association of California, San Diego chapter membership meeting today, and it is Juneteenth, and we are not going to hold you long. We are Facebook living this, so I know many of you have called and said that you were having other events to go to, but you would also watch it live later on. And before we get started, I really would like us to have a moment of silence for Robert Tambuzzi, a great warrior in this community for many years, who transitioned from earth to heaven on Thursday night. So if we could just bow our heads for a quick moment of silence for our own Robert Tambuzzi. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, we are today, since it's just a small group of us, can we just go around and introduce ourselves? I'm Ellen Nash, the chair of BAPAC, Black American Political Association of San Diego. And Elise, you want to introduce yourself?
Elise Pipkin Allen, the vice chair of BAPAC.
Okay. Lori? You're on mute.
I was trying to be good about that. Lori Saldana, former Assemblywoman representing San Diego, retired community college teacher, and constant activist.
Great. And a great friend. We'll get to Marcus here in a few minutes, but we'll go to Blanca. Blanca Brown, Miss Blanca Brown.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Blanca Lopez Brown. I've been living in this community my entire life. Let's see, I have been a trustee for the past 15 years. And do you mind,
Yes.
Alan, or should I wait?
No, go ahead. Go ahead and
Was that
please. There you are. She's on your phone, and she's celebrating her birthday with her kids. And can you hear?
Alan?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry because I'm on the phone. Can you hear me okay still?
Yes, we can hear you though. Yes.
Okay, because I can't hear or see myself. So, but I'm going to go ahead. If you give me a nod, then yes, I'm going to go ahead and finish introducing myself. I apologize for that. It's my birthday today too, but so calls are coming through. My name is Blanca Lopez Brown. I've been living in our community my entire adult life, have been a trustee for the Lemon Grove School District, serving our community for the past 15 years. And I'd like to take all that knowledge that I have gained and served our community to bring it to the to the city of Lemon Grove. And so I am a candidate for the Lemon Grove City Council.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Abina?
Oh, hello there. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Make sure
That's
you get
right.
out and enjoy some festivities. I'm Abina. I'm a board member of BAPAC, Vice Chair of Be Wild, Black Women's Institute for Leadership Development, and most important of all, president of Rapid Response Mortgage and Rapid Response Realty.
Thank you, Abina.
You're welcome.
Sam Bedwell? Is that Sam Bedwell?
Hey, Miss Ellen.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, happy Juneteenth.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Yes, hello, everybody. This is Sam, and I'm a longtime member of BAPAC and sit at the state board for BAPAC, and glad to see everyone after a month. So thank you, Ellen.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Well, hello there, Sam Bedwell.
Yes, everyone. Good to see everyone's face. It's always good to see BAPAC. It's always good to come out here just to see and hear everybody after such a long absence.
Right. Oh, we have Regina Evans has joined us. Regina, you want to introduce yourself? Oh, she's on her phone, but her microphone is not working. So Regina Evans has joined us as well. Happy Juneteenth, Regina. Just want to make a few announcements. We are working on going back to in-person. It will be hybrid. That's coming up. We are also planning a conference here in October. We're looking at a couple of hotels now. If you would like to get involved with helping us plan that conference, that would be great. We are going to be launching our forums. I call them Forums 22 Next Level forums that are coming up in November. We do have an election, so starting in July, we will start convening our forums going forward. We're going to want to take them to the next level since we are now a official C4, where we could do some debates. We can also do endorsements as well. And we'll be hosting as much more intentional kind of voter registration outreach efforts as well. We have the we have the opportunity to elect several Black candidates across the state, particularly coming out of San Diego, from our own Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, reelection of Dr. Shirley Weber, also Assembly Member Keila Weber reelection, and reelections are, to me, as an election. You really are starting over again. Anything can happen, right? Also, the reelection of our own City Council woman Monica Montgomery. I'm sure I'm missing some, but even at the state level, we have the opportunity to elect or reelect also Tony Thurman. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Also, our own, of course, our own Malia Cohen, 41-year-old young lady that made it from the primary into the general as a African-American millennial is what I call her, for state, correct me if I'm wrong, state controller.
That is correct.
All right. I keep mixing it with state treasurer. So
No,
please,
controller, totally different.
state controller, which would be one of a constitutional officer position coming out of California. So we have a lot of work to do. This is our time. This is our moment for African Americans, and let's just take the leadership. I'm sure Vice Mayor Marcus Bush is probably breathing a sigh of relief that not up for re-election this year, but probably going into next year, right? And then we have our own Blanca Lopez Brown running for City Council in Lemon Grove, which would, I think, be historic as the first, correct me if I'm wrong, the first Hispanic City Council member, woman.
Yeah, yes, because there are some names there, but they're through marriages. But yes, yes, because I was also the first elected Latina into the school board of Lemon Grove since the Lemon Grove incident, which is really historical, but sad too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Thank
so,
you.
Thank you for being here. Elise?
Don't forget Karen Bass.
Yes, thank you so much. And our Karen Bass is running for mayor. I think she did take the lead, so I'm happy about that at this point. So, but this is going to be an historic time, and so I'm glad the San Diego chapter of BAPAC, we're in a position now as a C4 that we can really, really become authentic and intentional about voting. Our voting rights and pushing those opportunities particularly for our millennials and our young people as well. So I also wanted just to make a few announcements, and then I'm not going to be long. I want to turn this over to Vice Mayor Marcus Bush at 12:30. So I'm going to be real quick. David Alvarez, our Assembly member, David Alvarez has openings. If you go to assembly.kca.gov, he had just texted me, he wanted me to make the announcement. Pillars of the Community has reached out to BAPAC to provide support on the surveillance bill. They will be having they're going to be attending the City Council meeting on Monday or Tuesday. And because the police officers union, I believe, is now trying to put some amendments into the surveillance that would weaken or undermine the intent of the surveillance bill that the City Council needs to pass. And so he reached out to me last night, wanted me to announce that particular piece. And you can always reach out to Pillars for more info. In fact, I have a text, so I'll just send it out to folks as well. Assembly Member Keila Weber's bill on AB 2774, asking the California legislature for $400 million a year to uplift Black kids. Is progressing. It's making its way, I believe, to the floor. So we need to watch that. BAPAC did send a letter in support of the bill. I did physically attend as well and spoke. A great experience. We're talking about 67% of our Black kids don't read and write at grade level, and 79% are below grade level in math. So we have a state of emergency, and we thank Assemblymember Keela Weber for responding to that emergency. And as our own Lori Saldana just brought up about homelessness, that's on our radar. And also in custody deaths on our radar as well. I wanted to lift those issues up as well. And I wanted to encourage everyone to attend the African American Museum Freedom Fighters exhibit. It's at the courts off of Market Street. Great experience, great event. I was there Thursday, and Bob Filner was there, who was actual freedom fighter when he was a youngster, and there were a couple of other freedom fighters there and gave their stories. It was very, very powerful. Great entertainment as well, and the signage is all will remind you of the sacrifices of those individuals made in order for us to have our freedom today. Also wanted to encourage everyone, since folks are also on Facebook Live, to join BAPAC. Our membership dues is only $25. You can go to bapacsd.org and sign up. And that would certainly help us with funding some of the events just like this Facebook Live. And the last but not least, I want to give a shout out and happy birthday to our own technology director, our own Dennis Cartwright, who is now facilitating all of our Facebook Live, all of our technology. Today is his birthday. I wanted to say happy birthday to him. And with that, I wanted to turn it over to our own Vice Mayor of National City, Marcus Bush. Marcus, let me just say some things about this young man.
Ms. Ellen, real quick I'm sorry to cut you off, but before you get into that, there is also, I think, an update for Councilmember Montgomery Stepp's office. I think that with the African American Museum, and I didn't read up on the story, but I believe there was a council, or not the museum, the Black Culture and Arts District, right? Didn't that just pass this past week?
Oh, it did.
I don't have any specifics. I'm sorry, but I do think that it happened, and that's
great.
An update too.
Great. Okay, thank you for that update. Anyone have any update on that? I did see a little bit about it. Not a whole lot. We'll have a
I didn't really understand what he said.
Oh, Marcus, could you repeat the Black Arts and Culture designation
district? Mm-hmm.
District. District.
I think that got a final approval by San Diego City Council this past week. I believe. Good. Yeah, but I didn't have any details. I don't know if you all did. So.
Oh, good. I'll follow up on that, and hopefully we'll have.
Well, where's the district at?
It's on Imperial. I know that much. I do know it's on Imperial, but I don't know what actual part of how it's designated. So Abina will find out more and have it provide that information at our next general membership meeting. That is very historic. That's a very historic action on the part of the city council. Lori?
That's great. Just need to know where it is. Thank you.
I wanted to note regarding Keela Weber's bill on deaths in custody, it's AB 2343, and it's actually called Saving Lives in Custody Act.
Okay.
And the last time I checked with the sheriffs locally, they had not supported the bill. So that's something that her office may need some local pressure. They may defer to the statewide sheriff's organization. But because that bill is a result of the audit that found this high rate of deaths and systemic problems, we may want to really push the sheriff to be more supportive of that bill as it goes forward.
Okay. Great. Okay. I'm going to turn it over to our own Vice Mayor, Marcus Bush. And then I'm going to find out a little bit more about the Blacks and culture before we leave. First, I wanted to thank the Vice Mayor for attending today. It's really appreciate you coming out. And Marcus has been a supporter of BAPAC for many, many years. In fact, before I came to BAPAC, Dr. Blair introduced me to Marcus as a young man. He's one of the youngest planning commissioners at that time in San Diego. And since then, we have watched his development. We have watched his intentions on some of the spaces that he's in and how he prepared himself professionally, educationally, and politically for where he sits today. And wanted to bring Marcus on in because it's Pride Month, and he'll share a little bit about his story there, and also some of the initiatives that he's working on that we definitely want to get behind. So I'm going to introduce you to my friend. I call him my son, my son in the work, none other than Vice Mayor Marcus Bush of National City. Take it away, Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Ellen. Well, I appreciate that warm introduction, and thank you for all your support over the years. And I am where I am today because of my mentors, obviously because of my ancestors and my family and my parents and what they put into me. But like they say, it takes a village. So, and BAPAC has been a big part of that village, and not just for me, but electing other Black candidates around the region. Because you said this earlier, Ms. Ellen, but we're anywhere from, in certain areas, 5 to 10% of the population, and that isn't reflected in our elected leadership. And that's one of the goals of mine, is supporting making sure that we're electing other Black electeds around the county, making sure that we have that representation and support. So I really appreciate that. Once again, for those who don't know me, my name is Marcus Bush. I grew up in National City, went to Lincoln Acres Elementary, Granger Junior High School, and graduated Sweetwater High School, class of 2006. Son of Mexican-American mother from Oregon, and an African-American father, former Marine. He spent 20 years, retired Marine Corps veteran. His name is Roscoe, and he's from a small town called Thomasville, Georgia. So grew up in National City. Education and kind of professional background, went to San Diego State University, double majored in city.
Marcus, we kind of lost you a little.
Cut off there, guys. Sorry about that.
No
Can you guys hear me
problem.
now?
Yes.
Okay. So I think I left off on the professional background, right? I currently work for MAC, and I work in the real estate development department, developing affordable housing. So really happy to do that. But what I think mainly here to talk about is that I was elected in 2020 to city council in National City. Made history there as the first Afro-Latino, the first millennial, and the first openly LGBTQ elected in National City, and specifically for our region, the first openly bi or bisexual elected in San Diego County. And I think it was actually a tie. I think Supervisor Tara Lawson Reamer, Chula Vista School Trustee Kate Bishop are also openly bi, so it's actually tied for first. And I think that's a lot of why I'm here today, is kind of as we talk about that intersectionality, right? And I'm kind of at that crossroads. This month is Pride Month, and it's also Juneteenth. So obviously those things are both of those things are part of my identity. Speaking to and both are have been historically disenfranchised groups, right? And that's been intentional, and that's part of it's a result of white supremacy that, and let's say plain, it's white supremacy that has really impacted generations and just the history of both of these groups, African Americans and LGBTQ. They're separate, obviously. They're distinct groups, but they faced similar issues, and I still face some of them today, and in small, subtle ways, but still. They're still impactful, they're meaningful. I get a lot of questions, and I'll just say it plain. And I try to use this opportunity to educate folks who have questions and who are curious, because you hear a lot about from the LGBTQ or queer community. You hear some about the trans community, the trans non-binary, and that's getting more kind of notice and more respect after way too many years of systemic oppression, and there's still a long way to go. And you hear a lot about the gay, the lesbian community, but not too much about the bi community. And there's still a lot of biphobia that goes on, and you get it, and it's interesting. You do get it on both sides. Like, when I was running, I definitely got questioned a lot because I'm in a relationship with a woman, because I'm married to a woman. Well, are you really even queer, Marcus? And it's like, yeah, it's not something I'm going to lie about. It's not something. There's very, very few people that would lie about that, and that came from even within the queer community, is that question. And it's like, no, I don't have to prove myself. I'm telling you. And I get it from even from a lot of heterosexual or straight identifying folks. A lot of inappropriate questions, like, well, what does that mean? By a lot of intrusive questions, and I'll just put it out there. All that means about being bi is that I've dated men in the past and I've dated women in the past. That's it. So I'm married to a woman. That doesn't that doesn't change me being bi because I'm with a woman, and my wife is bi as well. So she identifies that way as well. So I think it's something that I've experienced too. There's a tendency to older generations and more, I guess, traditional folks, if you will, that kind of have a lot of questions or hesitancy, or is the best way I could describe it. And that's okay. It's just the world is changing. We've always existed. We've always been out, but as societies change in these waves of kind of oppression come and go, people have had to be closeted, and yes, including Black LGBTQ community, and that's one of the group that does struggle the most. And so definitely something that I want to work on, being at that intersectionality. Last year there was the San Diego LGBTQ Center put on a forum specifically for the Black LGBTQ community. And that it was my first time going to an event like that. I really appreciate that, because that was a tough conversation in the room. There was so many Black queer folks who, many in tears, were, and a lot of others that were anger, because there's a lot of anti-Blackness even in the queer community. And so it's like a lot of them a lot of folks that were there, the present, expressed that they weren't accepted. They felt, right, that they weren't accepted in the Black community. But they also weren't accepted in the queer community, and particularly from the white, older, male gay men. There was like a lot of microaggressions and exclusivity that took place. And I appreciate the center for being able to confront that and acknowledge that. And that's what we have to do in our communities. There are at times uncomfortable conversations that we have to have with family or friends. But that's how we solve issues. We don't always have to agree, but we just have to at least come to an understanding, and have to talk things through. And so that's what I want to do. That's what partly my role I'm here for. So I think that's part of my identity, what I want to and continue to grow and accomplish. And the other part is the policy part of it. Like we were talking earlier about homelessness, and that absolutely disproportionately impacts the Black community. If you look on the streets, we are, like I said, about probably throughout the county, about 5% of the population. We're anywhere from 20 to 25% of the homelessness. So if that doesn't raise alarm bells about what we need to address and what's going on in our society, we really need to address that. And we need to address how we talk about the homeless, the unsheltered community as well. I hear a lot of hate, a lot of othering about them, and dismissing. Oh, they're on drugs, and they're just. It's almost describing the homeless folks as bad people. And let's not forget that, like, a lot of folks that self-medicate with those drugs, they're trying to heal from something, and what they're trying to heal from is their trauma. A lot of their trauma comes from childhood, and we see it in the statistics. Miss Ellen, brought it up at how so many of our Black youth are behind on testing, on education at the grading read level, at math, and so that's something that really we need to address, the youth part of it. So there's homeless, there's the education part, and a special item that I want to talk about, and also not just talk at you guys. I definitely want to have this be a conversation, have you all ask me questions and talk to me, is this lowrider issue that has come up in National City and now is spreading statewide. So to kind of backtrack and talk about this lowrider issue in National City. Lowriding started kind of as practice about the 50s, and so they're vehicles that have been customized, and they've been really predominant in the Latino, the Chicano community, started in LA, definitely spread to even San Diego and Tijuana, and really across the country over the years. Also embraced by the Black community. You can even, for those that love music, hip hop as a genre really took that on and embraced that. And you hear it with Snoop Dogg, with artists like Snoop Dogg, with Dr. Dre. I mean, they really embraced lowrider. And for me, I love it personally, even though I'm not super into cars myself, honestly. But I love lowriders. I love the art. And for me personally, I love this fusion of my Black and brown identities. You see it in the cars, in the expression. You see it in the music too. A lot of, oldies. A lot of those are, like, the majority of those are Black artists. But when you're at lowrider car shows or wherever, it's all Chicanos that have that music, right? So I just think it's a beautiful thing seeing our Black and brown communities unite around something, and it's been criminalized. If you all don't know, it's been targeted, it's been criminalized. It started really in the 80s. And were there a lot of issues in the 80s associated with low riding? There was some gang violence and whatnot. Yes, that happened, but what is the associate? It's the way that our society is able to other and associate this particular activity, lowrider cars and gatherings and driving up and down. That's what cruising is driving up and down in the same direction twice. And that got associated with gangs and violence and drugs. And I even question that. Why is there that association, right? So the things, and it's racism. It's stereotyping and it's racism. Was there violence that happened? Yes. But I don't think you address those things by banning this particular cultural activity. I think you get to the root cause of what the gang violence issues are, which is, I referred to it earlier, childhood trauma, neglect, economic challenges as well. So that's the kind of stuff that leads to gangs. But what we should not associate it with low riding. There's no proof that low riding or the culture causes crime. And so in 1992 in National City, we instituted a ban on low riding. So historically, for those who know National City, cruising has been going. Highland Avenue is I would say the center of cruising in San Diego County. That's what it's been known for since the 60s, is folks going up and down. I ran into some folks on the street, someone who had a Highland shirt on, and she said her and her husband met 43 years ago while they were cruising at it was at the time, I think, a Winchell's Donut Shop by 16th Street. So it brought people together, and so we are going through an effort to try to repeal this ban on cruising. Definitely asking for BAPAC's support on that. So how this got started in 2021. A group of grassroots volunteers called the United Lowrider Coalition, made up of different car clubs in the San Diego area, National City residents. They have even a political director. they've contracted with, who is doing it pro bono. Her name is Aida Castañeda. They got a professor, Dr. Albert Pulido, who's an educator who's done documentaries. The Black Lowrider Association of San Diego is a big part of this. Javier the X-Men, the DJ Javier the X-Men. So it's really a diverse group of folks of different backgrounds who came together with the purpose of repealing the ordinance. So they went through the process, approached Mayor Alejandra Solis. She was initially supportive, asked them to go through some trial test runs. They did events with her last year, like the vaccine drives. And then at the end of last year, so December of 2021, we as a council decided to move forward with a trial period of cruising where we would do 6 cruising events and then see how the events go. And then at the end of the trial period, which would have been October of this year, then we look at full repeal of the ordinance to see how it went. Now, I went ahead and supported that, but really, I just think, like my personal opinion, the ban should just be repealed. I don't care for suspensions of racist laws. I just can't imagine that, you know, during Jim Crow laws in the civil rights area, I can't imagine us suspending those. I think that they should just be repealed. I don't think there's enough evidence to support their existence. That's me. I'm one of 5, so the majority of my colleagues didn't agree. But I got to give a shout out to Councilmember Jose Rodriguez because he did vote that way. So anyway, we compromised and we had a massively successful event. You guys probably saw this in the media in May. It was a huge success. And then after our police came back with recommendations to staff the events, I think that's fine. Having a police presence is great. My problem is the city wanted to charge this group of all volunteers up to $20,000 per cruise for these events. And so that's what I was totally against. The United Lowrider Coalition and really the lowrider community felt betrayed by this. I think it was a really terrible look for the city to do personally. And I made motions for the city for us to cover those charges. And those got denied and rejected by a majority of the council. So my colleagues, Mayor Sotelo Solis, Councilmember Ron Morrison, Councilmember Mona Rios, they all voted against that. So then the United Lowrider Coalition, as a result, pulled out and they canceled the remainder of the cruises. So that's bad, in my opinion, and that's really disappointing, really unfortunate. It was a massive success. Like I said, the first cruise, thousands of people came out, young, old, black, white, API from the API community. It was a beautiful event. And there was a lot of people disappointed. I think it was great for the businesses. A lot of the businesses that went, there were among Highland that I spoke to. So unfortunately, we can't move forward with it this time. And we tried to repeal, have a discussion of repeal again, it failed. But you know what? The great thing is this movement has spread beyond National City. It's gone statewide. There's a resolution. It's called ACR 176. That is really just symbolic at this point, and it's requesting that the municipal governments in the state that they acknowledge cruising as something that's part of California's culture, and that they work with police and government officials in the lowrider community to do events and to promote it. The city of Sacramento became the first city in the state. I wish it was us, but we lost out on this opportunity, right? I wish it was a national city, but it wasn't. But Sacramento became the first city in the state to fully repeal their ban on cruising. Modesto is in the process. San Jose is in the process. I think Santa Clara as well. So this is a movement that started and was sparked by activists in National City, and it spread statewide. I asked for BAPAC support, and I would I'm here for questions or discussion, because at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of good that can grow from this. I just went to Albuquerque, the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a couple of weeks ago for a community and police cruising conference to see how police and law enforcement are working together with the community, how they're getting youth, creating youth bike clubs, how they the police have a lowrider cruiser vehicle that the community helped to design. And so, and that's what I want to see more of our region, and specifically National City, is us working together as more of a community police model. So I think so much of the possibilities from this are endless, engaging our youth into something, promoting arts, promoting recreation and different activities that matter to us and our people. And yeah, so I'd ask for BAPAC support, and definitely here to answer any questions or any thoughts.
Any questions or comments?
So, and I know that, well, after you, we hear from Ms. Lori, and if you too wanted to talk about, just your personal experience too, Ms. Ellen, and cruising, or what you know about the community, the culture, but yeah, then we'll go to Ms. Lori.
Okay.
Thank you. My father grew up in LA, and cars were what, they weren't called Chicanos at the time, but, the Latino community loved their cars. And even when he went to war and he was a career Marine, he kept cars with friends and storage. And, so there's a long cultural history of really caring for cars as an expression of pride and, expression of ownership. And I think what's happening is when BIPOC communities have these public displays, they're treated very differently. And it's something where, systemically, we need to address that, because I sat down with Bill Gore after the Proud Boys showed up at an event in San Diego in 2017 and asked him to his face, why are you treating these white men with helmets and gloves and threatening people differently than any other gang? And his response is, well, they're not doing it for commercial or economic benefit. They're just expressing their First Amendment rights. So I lost it. I really did lose it. And I think that this is another example where BIPOC communities expressing themselves in public are the default is there's something dangerous, illegal, and something that needs to be repressed. And so I know that's a little radical. I know you're trying to work through more traditional means to do that, but we see it so many times. And so I'm glad this is in the process of, it does need to be repealed. I mean, it really is just directed and targeted at certain communities. And there's no reason we need to have that on our books. So thank you for fighting the good fight on this.
Great, thank you, Ms. Solani. Totally agree. Appreciate that history on your father too. Like I said.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I share the same sentiment, and there's Vice Mayor Marcus Bush, you represent the current, you represent now, you represent the millennials, young people, families. You are, that's why I call you the intersectionality of all of it. And you happen to be in a space where you can advocate for, this is entertainment. This is what we call self-care. This is mental health. This is responding to trauma. You are the example of it. And you always have. You always, from your environmental justice to where you are now, the bicycling, everything that you're doing is you're helping underserved communities really understand the importance of self-care and how to respond to their trauma. That's what really this is all about. And this is the space that I've always watched you in, this particular space around taking care of each other, taking care of ourselves. So this is larger than just the low rider. It's the culture of low riding. It's bringing people together. And I think that's the piece that you're really fighting. That's your fight. That's our fight, is why is there a pushback on something that really brings people together in a healthy way? And it's low cost, it's low cost. It's like any other entertainment, so I see it as very important. When I was growing up here in San Diego, National City was the spot for low riding. And, that was the only thing growing up, because I was raised in the church. That was the only thing my parents let me do was hang out with the lowriders, right? Watch the cars. And I even have a thing for old cars now, because I mean, you watch them. They took auto mechanics class. I can tell you the story. Kids, when we were kids, girls and boys, we took auto mechanics class because we wanted to build our lowrider cars. It was just a part of the community culture growing up. So that's sort of the history. And when I saw that there was first, I didn't even know there was an ordinance against it. I just wondered why it was not as popular as it used to be. And I thought it was just, okay, maybe it was just for my time, and now that's gone away. But when you brought it to my attention, then I started looking around, and even in my neighborhood, there are always, guys are still working on those cars, and they're putting those beautiful wheels on them. They're painting them these beautiful colors, keeping all these other businesses and, companies in business. So it is an economic benefit to the community. It is about, again, addressing our family culture and our trauma, and making us all healthy, even from the old folks like me who remember the past to the young people who need to know the history. It just has so many benefits. So you let us know how BAPAC can support, what we can do with it, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, because it is important, just as important as any other entertainment activities that we do as a family and as a community. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Ellen. I think letters of support, and we have templates drafted that we could send
Okay.
you for HCR 176, and potentially even we can get you to even potentially testify. I think that's helpful. And I think just showing up, if you can, the Black Lowrider Association San Diego, maybe going to one of their events. They have a Juneteenth event tomorrow morning. So if you all, I know there's tons of Juneteenth events. And I think this one starts at 9, but if you could go to that'd be great. But you touched on something I missed, Miss Ellen, about mental health. The spark behind this entire movement, her name is Marisa Rosales, and she also works for the county. She's a social worker, and she's a National City resident. She started with these pop-up cruises in December 2020, and what she will tell you is that this is therapeutic for her. This is therapy to heal from the trauma from her work, from just that we all have it, all have our life struggles. And the way she describes lowriding and cruising in her car, Christine, I mean, it's just beautiful. And that's what it is for so many people. It is therapy. It is mental health. It's beauty, it's expression, it's art, and it's spread. Other people see it and get inspired by it too. And this movement has grown. So it's Marisa is the co-chair now of this. She's also serves on our city's traffic and safety committee. So we are empowering leaders and bringing up new leadership too as we do this. Jovita Arellano is another of the co-chairs, and so you got so many different folks working on this, and it is and BAPAC won't be the only ones that are outside organization that is supporting this. I think on Monday the Democratic Party has a resolution to support repeal of the ban on cruising in National City. That'll be a tool to also hold any candidates for office accountable to this. So this is the political organizing, and a lot of the lowrider community, when we talked to, a lot of them very, very distrustful of government and politics because of the trauma in the past. And so we've really had to build that trust with them and show them why they have to be involved in politics, right? And how important it is. So Democratic Party is in process supporting this as well. So there's growing. And then Pride, San Diego Pride reached out as well. So there's lots of in the LGBTQ community. So it's growing, the movement.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
Are they going to include any of the cars in the Pride Parade?
They might. There's an announcement soon, so stay tuned.
And are there any other ordinances in other cities?
Not that I'm aware of in San Diego County. I think National City is the only one, but there are ones up and down the state. That's why this resolution of this movement statewide is so important.
Okay, great. Thank you, Vice Mayor Marcus Bush, for being with us today. Do you have any last words? on Juneteenth or?
Well, no, thank you, BAPAC and Miss Ellen for inviting me. So I just really appreciate being included in the space. I'm going to share me and my story with you all, and just that representation is power, and I am, like you said, Miss Ellen, in a bunch of these different spaces in the LGBTQ community, with the Black community, the Latino community as well, and so. I'm trying to do my best to, a lot of the experiences aren't necessarily mine. Like, I'm not a lowrider myself, but I'm trying to like channel and be that voice as best I can for other people, and try to get these different groups together. That intersectionality is important. So when we work together and work with different issues, even the ones that we're not really familiar with. Like, I wasn't familiar. I still don't know cars. Like, I was about to try to describe what kind of car Christine is. Like, and I was like, I can't even remember. Like, so all I know is Chevy Impalas and from the 60s, and that's all I know. But you don't have to be an expert in everything. Like, you just need to feel other people and just listen to their stories and empower them. And that's just what I encourage us all to do, is empower others. And thank you guys for empowering me. I'm here where I'm at because like you all gave me a chance. So I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Elise's hand is up too.
Yes, I see Elise.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say that, as Ellen knows, I was a lowrider mom since the 70s. And at that particular time, it had nothing to do with gangs. It was really about art. It's just like people do tennis shoes as an art. Doing your lowrider car was an art. And also the kids then got to go to Los Angeles. And there were a lot of the lowrider cars from San Diego that won awards in Los Angeles for the art of it. And it was sometimes the first time any of our kids had received awards for anything. So it helped them to look for awards and more other things than art, but the art was what it was about. We still have lowrider cars in the family. I have one sitting in my driveway right now, which is why I know how much they're worth. They never let them go. And it had nothing to do at that particular time with gangs. So I fully support repealing anything against lowriders.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to make I want to go back to the Marcus, you brought up about the cultural neighborhood. In fact, there's a post that was on Facebook. Thanks, Regina, for sharing it with me. City Council voted unanimously, and this is from Council Member Pro Tem Monica Montgomery Stepp. City Council voted unanimously to pass the resolution to designate the 8 blocks of 61st through 69th Street in Encanto neighborhood as San Diego's Black Arts and Cultural District.
What is that? Give me the street address.
61st from 61st, 8 blocks from 61st and 69th Street.
It's in the chat. I actually added the link and put the geographic area. There's a link to the staff report in the chat.
Right down the street from my house.
Oh, it's on Imperial Avenue?
Yes, on Imperial Avenue. Right. It ends where the Boys and Girls Club. That's 69.
Oh, okay.
Where Tayati used to have his huge music festival.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Right.
Where is Tayati these days? I haven't seen him in a month of Sundays.
Yeah, that's true.
He's still in San Diego doing his thing?
I think so. Check in on him. Well, with that said, it is 1:03 and I didn't want to keep you longer than 1. Just good for the order. I want to thank you all for coming. And we have a lot of work to do ahead of us. And I want you to go out and enjoy all the Juneteenth activities for the weekend. And remember, we are free. We are free. And we need to take advantage of the freedoms that we now have, rather than some of the challenges that we have in our country right now. And Black people, we still are the margin of victory. So if we want to hold on to our democracy, we definitely have to appreciate the right that came out after Juneteenth now. We took us a little while, but we did get the right to vote. And we need to use that right in order to save our country and save ourselves and save our families. Let's see. Anyone else have anything to say? I see the chat going.
I know.
Okay.
I think Mr. Gina Evans had a quick question about donating. Miss Ellen, if you wanted to get a quick minute to talk about that real quick.
Yes, let's do that.
Is she on mute or she
She's
can't?
asking you. I think she's, yeah, Regina's asked vice.
Oh, she can hear. Okay.
Huh?
So that's come up. Donating, which is basically when cars are at an intersection and go around in circles in the intersection and like they're high and they're like kind of burning out, I guess. So,
yeah.
so that is dangerous, and I think in LA even I think I heard a couple women were killed when there were spectators watching that. So that is different from like low riding typically is low and slow, and you know, and there's hopping that's done, and that's can be potentially a safety issue. The hydraulics, to me, lifting the cars up and down, I don't see why that's an issue. Or the three-wheeling, if it's going slow, I don't see that as a public safety issue. I've spoken to law enforcement officers and I heard it is. I would like that explored more. But yeah, I think the donating is a little separate from the lowrider cars itself. You typically won't see, because it kind of does damage and it causes risks to the cars. Those, as Miss Elise said, those are expensive cars. So you typically won't see lowrider vehicles or their owners doing any of those kinds of moves because they invest a lot of money in their vehicles and it puts them at risk. But anything that's I think a public safety issue like that, we definitely want to address. Like public safety is a number is a priority. So we definitely don't want to promote donating. And I haven't heard, at least the community that in the organizations and the individuals that I talk to, none of them support donating or any of that. At best, I think if there's folks that do like racing, I think that's an issue in Mira Mesa. You hear street racing. I haven't heard that recently as an issue in National City, but the street racing and some of those issues like the tricks and donuts, like, you know, I think it's fine to have those, but they have to be regulated. There has to be separate events. We have to work with law enforcement and whoever in the state vehicle code. Like I think stuff like that, you know, can be done, but it has to just be in a safe, controlled way. So yeah, and I don't know too much about that. That's the extent of my knowledge on it, but yeah, I just wanted to address that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great. Okay, well, again, have a great rest of your Juneteenth, and we'll see you next month.
See you at
Yep. See you later.
coming over.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, been great.